What's up, you guys? It's your boy Cal, and for today's draft, today I'm putting up a challenge. That's right, I'm calling out Warren and Chris from the Cosmic Variant Authorities podcast, or if you know them separately from their individual channels, Warren being from the Cosmic Wanderer and Chris being from the Cosmic Authority, I believe. I'm calling them out. And when I say I'm calling them out, it's not that I have a problem with these people. It's not that I have a problem with their channel or anything like that. They seem like pretty chill guys, pretty cool dudes. I follow their channels. Their content is amazing. It keeps me up to date with stuff that's going on, even though sometimes I ignore it because I don't want to have spoilers and everything. I have no problem with them. The reason I said I'm calling them out is because a few months ago, more like towards the end of last year, during their Cosmic Variant Authority podcast, they started a segment in which they each started to choose and draft their own individualized teams based off of a certain prompt that one or the other would give to each other, right? And through that prompt, they made a team in which their teams had to fight, and then they said that the winner team would go against a team that was put into the comments. Now, while I made a team for the comments, I decided to be a little bit more calculating or a little bit more methodical and plan out my actual team against who actually won. So with that being said, the challenge that I'm putting out today is I am going to be recruiting a team today that is going to line up with my usual recruitment season type of videos to go against the team that has won within the last few months when it came to the Cosmic Variance Authority podcast. And the team that won was the team that Warren put together. Now, for those who do not know, the Cosmic Variant Authority podcast team rules were basically that you had 5 members, right? Chris gave you 5 members or 5 different franchises and universes to pull from. One being Marvel, the other one being DC, the other one being Super Smash Bros., the other one being from Star Wars, and then you could double up on any of them, right? You had to choose 5 characters to make a team. And throughout these characters, each of them were to fight against each other. And then, like I said, whoever won against those 2 teams will go against a person within the comments. Now, I have made a team to go against the winner team. The team that won in the podcast was Warren's team. And Warren had a pretty interesting team. And so did Chris, right? Now, the reason I said I'm going to line this up with my usual recruitment season based type of videos is because this is exactly the type of things I do when it comes to my own original recruitment seasons. But seeing that there are some characters, like I said, that I don't know what to do with and that I really want to use that I think are interesting, I was like, okay, cool. Let's put this up to see what y'all would think and who would actually win. Now, I'm going to tell you guys right now, there are 2 universes in that ruling that I have no idea about. The Super Smash Bros. Universe and the Star Wars universe. Sure, when I was younger, I played a few games of Super Smash Bros., but I know very little about them. If they have like a TV show or a book or whatever, I do not know. I know that it's like cross franchises or cross IPs from across different fandoms like Mario and Sonic and Pokemon and stuff, right? And usually when I played Super Smash Bros., I always stuck to the Pokemon characters who I also have very little information about, or like Zelda or Ink or Link or whatever his name was, right? And then when it comes to Star Wars universe, y'all know I am not a sci-fi person. I know even less about the Star Wars universe than I do about the Smash Bros. Universe. But I know at least some of the names and I get their idea or what their deal is more or less. At least to give you like a sentence or two about the character I'm pulling. Right? So with that being said, like I said, we are going to be making a team to go against Warren's winning team. Now, when Chris gave the rules, he basically said that the rules were that you use all continuity, all canon, so whatever powers they have ever had, no matter what type of story or universe it was, it counts. It was a team fight and a team had to win, right? He put a prompt in to ChatGPT to see how the teams will play out and how they will fight and everything, right? I don't remember the prompt worth shit. I'm not going to try to recall it. I just know who won and I know what teams they had or what members they had on each of their teams. And based off of the team that won, I tried to make my team based off of that. Now, like I said, it's a 5-member team, but because of the normal rules that I usually put into my own original narratives when I do my own recruitment season type of videos, we're going to apply the same rules here. So the people that I will be pulling from my team, I will not be able to use again when I get back to my own original recruiting for the next time I do a recruitment season type video. And of course, that means I can't use the characters that they have pulled in their own drafts. Even though I can use them in my own things eventually if I haven't used them already. But when it comes to this particular video, this particular concept, I can't use the characters they have pulled, which is fine because some of the characters they pulled I either already use, I don't want to use, or I have plans to use somewhere else. For instance, Chris's team consisted of Superman from the DC universe, right? Then he had Sonic from the Super Smash Bros. Universe. He had Obi-Wan from the Star Wars universe. He had Doctor Doom from the Marvel universe. And he also had... Damn it, who else did he have? He had someone else. I'll come back to it later. I'll think about it in a little bit. But when it comes to Warren, like I said, Warren is the team that we really got to focus on because Warren's the team that we are going to be making our team against. Warren's team consisted of Scarlet Witch, Jean Grey the Phoenix, Darth Vader, Pikachu, and Batman. Oh, and that was the other person that Chris had. Chris also had Deadpool. So, like I said, we have to make a team that is competent enough to go against Warren's team. And obviously, you know, the most troublesome characters on his team will obviously be the Scarlet Witch and Jean Grey. Now, again, I wouldn't mind that he had Jean Grey because y'all know me. If y'all know anything about me, y'all know I hate that character with a passion. And no matter if it was on this team or another team or whatever, I am trying so hard not to use that girl, no matter what the case is, because I cannot stand that bitch. But in regards to the Scarlet Witch, I have plans for her somewhere else. I don't know crap about Star Wars, so while I may or may not use Darth Vader in the future, it's very unlikely. Batman, I have plans for somewhere else. And Pikachu, again, I know very little about Pokemon. So again, very unlikely that I would use him. But when it comes to Chris's team, again, these are characters that I don't mind using. Y'all know I cannot stand Deadpool, even though I might use him somewhere. Sonic, I don't see a world where I would actually use Sonic anywhere. Superman, I have plans for. Doctor Doom, I have plans for. And again, I don't know crap about Star Wars, so I don't even know who Obi-Wan Kenobi really is. But that's neither here nor there, like I said, because I have created a 5-member team that I think I could go with that would beat or at least hold off or counter in a good way the team that Warren has. Specifically when you're concentrating on characters like Jean Grey and the Scarlet Witch. So with that being said, we're going to get right into it. I'm going to tell you who my team is, and then I want y'all to tag Warren, tag Chris, tag Cosmic Wanderer, Cosmic Authority, Cosmic Variance Authority Podcast. Tag them in this video. Link them to this video. Send us this video. Share this video with them. Whatever you got to do. And I want to hear y'all thoughts about how my team will fare out against both of their teams or whose team you think will win. And I want y'all to ask them to do more teams like this or to possibly collab with me so we can do more concepts like this together because I think this is fun. But I think I made a team that can absolutely take on Warren. If not absolutely take him on, at least be a challenge for him. So Warren, I'm calling you out. This is my team right here. Y'all ready for it? All right, cool. Let's go. The first person I'm going to pull is Franklin Richards. Now, whether or not you want to go with the original belief that Franklin is a mutant or the new retconned position that Jonathan Hickman wrote within the Krakoa era that he isn't, it isn't even important. Because the fact of the matter is, for all of his comic book history, and if not all of his comic book history, most of his comic book history, Franklin has been one of those characters who has been known and seen to be classified as going beyond an Omega level threat. So the fact of the matter is that most of Warren's team shouldn't even be a problem for him. Like, even the two people who I would say are a problem for him on his team, I wouldn't even give it to them. Because you got to think about it like this, right? Let's look at it like this. Let's go with the first three easiest members on Warren's team to take out, right? Batman. Batman is just a regular human. Sure, he's one of the smartest people in the DC universe. Sure, he's one of the most capable fighters in the DC universe. But you gotta think about it. He's a regular human, right? He has weaknesses. He has flaws, just like any other regular human does. Plus, he has the whole thing about his moral code. All he has to do is look at Franklin and be like, this is a child. I can't hurt a child or hold back to the point where he's not willing to go into as much of a battle with Franklin as everybody else. Or how about the fact that, sure, everybody says Batman can win because of prep time. How do you prep against someone who could change reality? And if not changing reality, how do you prep against someone who can basically create and destroy universes? You can't. You just can't. So Batman is already out. And if you don't want to look at it at that point, how about the fact that all Franklin has to do is look at Batman and throw him back in time repeatedly to the day his parents died, or repeatedly to the day that Jason died, or repeatedly to the day that Alfred died, or the night that Selena broke up with him, or any other type of throwback that you want to call to that would make Batman lose focus or hesitate or, not be completely there. Or you can erase his memories or whatever the case may be. Or you just erase him out of the timeline. The fact of the matter is, Franklin and Batman, Franklin's already winning. Then you got to look at Pikachu. Sure, Pikachu can be seen as a planetary threat, but when you got a planetary threat against someone who can wipe out multiverses, I'm taking the person who can wipe out multiverses. Plus, all Franklin has to think about is, I'm pretty sure I saw a movie or cartoon or something like that with you winning. Aren't you a stuffed animal? Boom. Changes Pikachu to a plush toy or whatever the case may be. Or negates his powers. Darth Vader, again, I don't know much about Darth Vader, but again, all I gotta do is assume that he negates his powers or throws him back in time or rewrites his history or whatever the case may be. Like I said, the only people on Warren's team that Franklin may have a problem with is Scarlet Witch and Jean Grey. But when it comes to Scarlet Witch's powers are really litigated to being just magic-based. Franklin goes beyond magical capabilities. So, really, the only person up there that he will have a problem with is maybe Jean. And that's barely nothing. Because, sure, like I said, while Jean is the Phoenix, she has telekinesis and all that, the Phoenix is the omniversal presence, but multiversally, she can only take up one host at a time. And plus, we have seen stories where the Phoenix Force has been destroyed or where its powers have been diminished or whatever the case may be. And plus, like I said, Franklin can create pocket universes, he can create whole universes, multi-universes, and much more. So all he has to do is put Scarlet Witch and Jean Grey into another universe where they can escape or whatever, or diminish their power a little bit, or rewrite time and history. The only problem that I can see Franklin having against Jean is that the Phoenix extends all timelines, like crosses all timelines, because isn't it like the Phoenix is like the total sum of all life that would be, has been, or ever will be. So unless you make it to the point where life will never exist, then yeah. But like I said, I think Franklin will still come on top. He'll be diminished and drained, maybe a little bit hurt, but he will still come on top. And if you don't want to look at any of those reasons, let's just remember that the rules were said that this was all continuities. Anything that's ever been established in any type of book or any type of media or whatever counts. All I gotta do is say, remember Heroes Reborn where he created pocket universes and saved everybody? Or Secret Wars where he created the multiverse again? Or how about the fact that he can change toy guns into real guns? No? You don't want any of that? Okay. I give you one incredible moment. Y'all remember when Franklin made Galactus his bitch in the Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four run? I want to see Warren's team go against the Galactus. I want to see him go against the Galactus. Let me just see if Franklin says, okay, Phoenix, Scarlet Witch, I've had enough of y'all shit. Y'all are being mean to me. Y'all are being bullies. My mom told me never to let anybody walk on me. Rise, Galactus. I want to see Batman. First of all, Batman, Pikachu, and Darth Vader, they're not going against the Galactus. That's just dumb. Scarlet Witch and Phoenix, I'm pretty sure I've never seen a story where they beat them or where they weren't terrified of them. That's just a done deal right there. Franklin's winning over all of those people right then and there. That's just he's fought Celestials and so much more. So, like I said, only possible drawback and casualty I may have is that Franklin may be hurt or diminished a little bit, seeing as how that sometimes he holds back unless his emotions take over, and that we're talking about all continuities. So Jean Grey having the Phoenix is definitely probably going to be the White Phoenix of the Crown, or Crown of the White Phoenix, or whatever it's called, and that's technically a fundamental force. So she's probably on par with Franklin. That's probably going to be the only stalemate within that range. But other than that, like I said, my first draw is going to be Franklin Richards. Now, the next person I'm going to pull, I'm going to pull another Marvel character from my double picker. And the next Marvel character I'm going to pull is Thanos. Now, the reason I'm pulling Thanos, because like I said, remember, this is all continuities. So that means I can either have Thanos with or without the gauntlet. Any way it goes, Thanos with or without the gauntlet has always been immeasurably unstoppable and immeasurably powerful, right? When he has the gauntlet, he has control, full mastery over time, space, reality, soul, mind, and power. And I think there's like something else, right? But outside of that, not only is he strong, he's an eternal. He's more or less immortal. He has powers and skills that he's learned through all the years without the Infinity Gauntlet. Okay, so again, let's go through this one more time. With everything I just said, him being an Eternal and being an Eternal with a Deviant gene already makes him more powerful and sturdier than most Eternals already are. He can heal. He has a healing factor. He has super enhanced physiology, super strength. He can age, and if he can age, it's very slowly. He can die, but very, very little things can kill him. And on top of that, like I said, he has super strength, super durability, all the other good stuff. He has the basically superhuman grab bag, plus all the other little tricks and stuff that his genes usually give him from being a deviant slash eternal, or from the skills he have learned and mastered throughout time. So, with that being said, if you put Thanos up against Batman, Thanos is easily crushing Batman. I mean, sure, Bruce could probably hold him off for a moment and probably stay on the field if he has like the Hellbat suit, because the Hellbat suit is meant to go against people like Darkseid. But even with the Hellbat suit, Darkseid still usually crushes Batman. So even if you were to say that he did have the Hellbat suit, all it have to do is say that Franklin or somebody else on my team makes it to where the Hellbat suit stops working or it's broken and damaged. And once you get Batman out that hell suit, you land one punch to Batman from Thanos, he's done. His bones are going to get crushed or something. And if it's not for that, like I said, sure, Batman's a capable fighter, but you got to think about it. So is Thanos. Sure, Thanos is probably slower because of his size and everything, but he has galactic type of style versions of fighting capabilities. And if you want to throw like, sure, Batman is probably going to use like, who knows, like a batarang or something. First of all, while he's known to use weapons, he's more of a hand-to-hand combatant. That's one. Two, he's not going to use no gun. Thanos has no problem with this. And like I said, Batman has a no killing rule. Sure, those rules may or may not apply to this prompt and to this battle, but while it may or may not be the case, Thanos is more than likely going to try to kill Batman right at the top before Batman tries to kill him. And then, like I said, even if you were to throw like a weapon or a punch into the fight through Thanos from Batman, like Batman throws a batarang or whatever, or a grenade, tell me exactly what is that going to do against the physiology of Thanos? And we got to also think about the fact that Thanos has the gauntlet, and even without the gauntlet, most of the powers that he gets with the gauntlet, he has normally. Able to control mass, minds, and stuff like that. And we've seen Batman be controlled by Darkseid many of times. He'll sometimes come out of the control, but for the most part, Batman's going down. And plus, all he has to do is, again, erase him from the timeline or use the reality stone to basically turn him into a bunch of blocks like he did with Drax or whatever. Now, Thanos against Pikachu. One could say that Pikachu might come on top because he's smaller and faster, and that his lightning bolts have taken down powerful people opposed to Thanos. But again, with Thanos' type of physiology and strength and everything, and the fact that he can control matter or reality and like power with the stone, yeah. More than likely, Thanos is going to kick Pikachu across the field like a soccer ball, or he's going to do just like Franklin does and turn him to a plush toy, or use a time stone to slow down his attacks or slow Pikachu down, or something. Maybe use a space stone to put his projectiles of lightning onto different paths and to hit different targets or whatever the case may be. So Pikachu is going down. Darth Vader, again, I don't know much about Darth Vader, but I'm assuming that that fourth little choke or whatever, or the lightning that he would use against the physiology of Thanos ain't nothing. Now, maybe that lightsaber might be able to do something. I'm not really sure exactly how the lightsabers work. But if it's like a crystallized blade or whatever, or they're as strong or as powerful as I've heard them to be, and it could be like a cutting off his head type of thing, like Thor did with Stormbreaker, then maybe that's possible. But that's assuming that he can even make it to the field to face Thanos without being wiped off the field from everybody else, or that Thanos doesn't take him off the field first using one of his other skills. And seeing as how Vader has a cybernetic suit, that's a strength for him as much as it is a weakness. Like, I could see Thanos breaking it or making it malfunction or rewriting the coding with his reality skills or outsmarting it or whatever the case may be. So there's Vader off the map as well. So again, the only people we really have to worry about is Phoenix and Scarlet Witch. Now, Phoenix, yeah, I'm going to say Thanos is probably going to die to Phoenix, but he would clear out most of the board. However, him going against the Phoenix is a fight I can see going either way, because in comic history, there has been times where, like just recently, like in 24 or 25, there was a story where Thanos used like the Warlock Eye or whatever to fight Phoenix, and she had to call all of these people, and he basically made her turn the Phoenix Force in on herself, and she had to adapt to survive. But at the same time, if you're looking at all continuities, that would mean that if you're taking the White Phoenix to the crown Jean has, she's basically omnipotent and she can expand the multiverse and the omniverse and everything. But with the power of the gauntlet that he has, he can, overwrite the multiverse, the power of the reality, the time, the space, and everything that consists within it. So, like I said, I think that's a fight that can go either way. But against the Scarlet Witch, he could wipe her out. Sure, her chaos magic will cause some harm for a while, but eventually Wanda is going to end up going down. We all know that if we've seen the movie like Avengers Endgame. But then again, even at her peak, like whether she's House of M Wanda or Darkhold Wanda or whatever the case may be, again, her powers are really litigated to magic and reality warping. Comic wise, Thanos has been seen to stand pretty tall against reality warpers, so it's not really that much of a threat. And even if it was, you got to remember his physiology counts for a lot against what Wanda can do. And even if it didn't, look at Wanda's weaknesses. Wanda's two major weaknesses is that she's a normal human. She could be crushed and hurt by Thanos, just like almost everybody else on this team. And the fact that her main weakness has always been the overpopulation, crowdedness, and trauma of her mind. So if Thanos can rewrite her mental reality or rewrite her mental hardware or programming or whatever to shut her mind down or make her think less of herself or shut herself down in her mind, she's done. So, like I said, back to what I was saying originally, just like with Franklin, I think Jean as the Phoenix is the only real problem that we may have on my team. Thanos is probably going to go down, maybe, maybe not. But again, everybody else on Warren's team is done deal. So again, we're still looking pretty good. Now, going over to my DC pick, I chose to pick Trigon. Why? I've always wanted to use Trigon. I love Trigon. I'm not a Satanist or whatever, but when it comes to fictional demons, a lot of them is interesting. And one of my favorite ones are Trigon. Trigon is someone I always wanted to use. I just never knew in what capacity I'm going to use him in, or what way I could use him, or where I would put him. So I'm going to put him here. And Trigon's going to go on my team for my DC pick. And I feel like Trigon is another person who I think, for the most part, can fare off pretty well. Against Batman, Trigon is already going to come on top because of the fact that when it comes to Batman, he knows about magic, but he's not really a believer of the magic side. And with him not really being a believer or one who's really a fan of it, he doesn't really have that many preparations against it. And it's not like within this team, he can call on the help of Zatanna or whatever, right? The teams are locked in as they are. You can't just pull in extra assistance unless like that's part of your power set when it comes to like Franklin having the power to basically control Galactus or whatever. So it's not like he can call on people who have magical knowledge like Constantine or whatever to help him out. So a magical opponent against Batman, Batman is already going down. That's one. Two, Trigon is a demonic god. What can a regular human do against him? Not much. Plus, he expands multiverses and cosmic level threats. Batman doesn't really have anything for that. And he can basically corrupt Batman's mind, claim his soul, corrupt his soul, whatever the got to take. And again, sure, you can probably find a way or something happens where within the prompt or whatever that before this team collides or whatever, Batman knows exactly who's going to fight. He tries his best to prep for it. So he probably looks up ways to like get rid of weaknesses that the team have, like Benjamin spells or whatever. But again, you go back to no matter how many times or how much you are prepped for, you can prep for all of that, but you can't really prep against someone who can warp reality. There's no feasible way for you to prep against someone who can destroy the universe in the blink of an eye, or with a thought, or who can snap their fingers and change everything you ever knew, everything that ever was. You just can't make a contingency for that. There's no way you could. So again, Batman is down. Now, when you want to talk about Pikachu, what good is a little small creature's lightning bolt against a demonic supernatural being? Nothing. That's lunch. Like he will literally possibly eat Pikachu for lunch. Darth Vader, his dark side will probably just strengthen or empower Trigon. So again, nothing. In a little force crush thing that Vader does, Trigon probably wouldn't even feel it. Like, and the little saber attacks or whatever, or lightning, again, probably wouldn't even feel it. It'll probably tickle him. Now, again, that's where we have to talk about Scarlet Witch and Jean Grey. For the most part, no matter who I put on my team, the only real threats that we really have to face, no matter who we are looking at, are the Scarlet Witch and the Phoenix. So, when it comes to the Phoenix, could Trigon beat the Phoenix? That is the question. Well, in my opinion, to be fair, to be honest with y'all, seeing as how Trigon is powerful, but he's usually seen ranked below like Mr. and Mrs. Pitlick or the Spectre, and Phoenix is one who can destroy universes and again represents all life that ever has been, will be, or could be. Trigon is probably going to lose, but at the same time, like I said, it will probably end up in a toss-up and a stalemate, just as it would be against Franklin going against Jean or Thanos going against Jean. One way or another, I can see a way in which Trigon could win, but I can also see it where Phoenix wins too, because they could both alter reality. They're both cosmic level, so it's really only is Trigon's reality warping and cosmic level capabilities stronger than the Phoenix's or not. But then when it comes to the Scarlet Witch, yeah, he's gonna beat the Scarlet Witch regardless. Like I said, his chaos magic, the chaos magic that Scarlet Witch uses, will probably just empower him, and he will be able to simply wipe her out of existence or destroy her existence molecularly or just like crumble her to nothing. If not that, she's either going to get overwhelmed by his power or he's going to corrupt her soul or her mind and overwhelm her that way, in which she will be taken out. So, like I said, even when it comes to Trigon, all of Warren's team, except probably the Phoenix, is going to be taken off the board. So, again, I think I'm doing pretty good because, like always, even with the three members I already named, the only person we probably have a possible threat to really worry about is against Jean. But like I said, seeing as how it was a 5-member draw and we only did 3 so far, we only have 2 members left. And like I said, the pools were from Star Wars, Super Smash Bros., Marvel, DC, and then you can double up on one. So I already did my Marvel and my DC pool, and then my double pool was from Marvel, which means my last 2 pools have to come from the Star Wars universe and the other one being from the Super Smash Bros. Universe. And like I told you in the beginning, these are the 2 out of the 4 pools that I have the least amount of knowledge about. But based off of the research I have done or what I've already knew about them, I think I have put together enough of a consolidated argument or theory on how they could hold off against Warren's particular members or how they will fare on my team. Starting with Mewtwo. Mewtwo is a legendary type of Pokemon, right? He's a psionic Pokemon, and he's a legendary Pokemon. He, she, because I don't think Mewtwo is a binary being. I think he's non-binary. I don't know. But anyway, it goes. Mewtwo has been known to have telekinesis, telepathy, soul manipulation, power negation, portal control. He or she has a wide range of capabilities, right? So if you want to go down the line against everyone he will be fighting on Warren's team, again, starting with Pikachu, Pikachu versus Mewtwo, we already know that even though Pikachu is popular and he could be a planetary threat or whatever, due to the type of Pokemon and the power that Mewtwo has, Pikachu is going to lose. Like I said, he can simply control the power bolts that Pikachu throws at him, negate his power, change Pikachu's attack directory, swap out his soul or his memories or whatever. Something, I don't know. And while I may sound confident in that Mewtwo will come on top over Pikachu, I don't want to say that's a definite answer to that because it can honestly be a toss-up between them. It'll be a strong fight. I think that Mewtwo will win, but like if you look throughout like board games, video games, card games, the movies, TV shows, or whatever the case may be, it's often based on the scenario in which one of them wins. It's never always been, oh, Mewtwo has won. Pikachu has been known to win against some type of legendary Pokemon. So I don't want to say it's a yay or nay, but ultimately I think Mewtwo will come on top. Now, if you want to talk about Mewtwo against Batman, as soon as Mewtwo gets into Batman's mind via his telepathy, Batman's gonna be taken out. And if you don't want to use that, just think about his energy projection or like his attacks like the Shadow Ball. There's no way Batman can handle those. And sure, again, you can go with the prep time thing, assuming that he has prep time. But again, how do you counter something like that? You can probably make like a device to protect you from telepathy and everything, but you have to make sure you're strong enough to handle everybody else on the team as well. So Batman will be taken out. Now, Mewtwo against Darth Vader is pretty much the same ordeal as Mewtwo going against Batman, except for the fact that Darth Vader has like Force lightning in the Force. Sure, he could probably tickle or harm Mewtwo for a bit, choke him more a little bit, but as soon as again he's able to overcompensate it with his telepathy, then Vader is out. And then on top of the fact, you still have to take into account that Mewtwo has flight, speed, and teleportation. So he will have to be very precise with his lightsaber and force throw and very accurate in how he uses it in a way where Mewtwo can't get one over him for it to work. But ultimately, Mewtwo takes out Vader. Now, this is where my team starts to take a little dip. Because while the three first members that we pulled were usually the ones to come on top, this is where Scarlet Witch and the Phoenix will have the upper hand against my last two characters. Because Mewtwo, while Mewtwo is a psionic legendary Pokemon, I don't think its psychic or legendary abilities go in the range of reality warping like Wanda's does. So while I could say, sure, you can have the energy projectiles from Mewtwo, Wanda could probably disrupt them or change them somehow with her hex magic. I could say you can get into her head, but ultimately, even if you take all of those out, all she has to do is rewrite reality to make it where Mewtwo never existed or he's in another dimension or whatever. And then against the Phoenix, there's not even the point of putting him against the Phoenix because it's like if you can't even handle reality warping, what can you do against a cosmic level threat? So that's how Mewtwo will fare off. But now let's look at Darth Maul. And for Darth Maul, according to what I know about him, not only is he a powerful Sith Lord, or one of the most powerful Sith Lords, he's also very well versed in double-edged sword and judo fighting. He's skilled in martial arts. He's skilled in the Force, of course. And he has some capabilities when it comes to magic. He likes getting close in combat. He's good with mechanics and stuff like that. So if we were to put him up against someone like Batman, right? Like I said, our enemies are more than likely going to be able to try to take out Batman permanently before Batman tries to take them out because of his whole no killing rule. Plus, like I said, Batman is more of a combatant than he is a weaponist. So Darth Maul already kind of has the upper edge, combined with the whole Force and the fact that he's not humanoid. Well, he's humanoid, but he's not a human like Batman is. That's even more of an edge that he has. Plus, again, with the whole magical capabilities, that's another one. And like I said, sure, you could try to prep. You could try to prep to give yourself armor against the saber or armor against his combats or the way he thinks or the Force. But there's some things you can't prep for, and who's to say that you know exactly who you're going to be fighting, or who's to say that you have something to counteract the Force or the magic that Darth Maul is coming with. Sure, he could probably exploit Maul's rage or set up traps or something. But even with prep time, I would still say it's a long shot or it's still going to go in the favor of Maul. Now, Maul against Vader, if I understand it correctly, Vader usually loses to Maul, or Maul is more superior than Vader is. And that's due to the fact that I think that I heard or read that Maul's strength, speed, and force abilities and overall combat capabilities are greater than Vader's are. Plus the fact that again he has magic and stuff. But then again, I know that Maul's greatest weakness is his rage. But at the same time, Vader is tormented and full with hatred. But again, I don't know much about Star Wars lore or the Star Wars character. So I'm not going to say yay or nay to who's winning against Maul or Vader. Y'all let me know in the comments because I'm not a Star Wars fan. So I'm not really going to say who's got that right there. But moving on to Maul versus Pikachu, I'm going to give it to Maul because sure, again, Pikachu is small and fast. But with the force, Maul can easily pick him up, throw him, toss him, hold him off, whatever the case may be, or deflect the lightning that Pikachu throws at him with the lightsaber or with his own force lightning, redirect it maybe, transform it to dark lightning that Pikachu can't handle or control, or that accidentally hurts him or overpowers him, or whatever the case may be. And then as soon as he's in close combat or close quarters, I have no doubt in my mind that Maul is just going to either choke Pikachu to death with the Force or slice him up or stab him with the saber. So Pikachu is out. Now, again, the only people we have to worry about are the Scarlet Witch and the Phoenix. And again, it comes to these two people on Warren's team facing Maul, I'm not even going to waste my breath. I'm not naive. I'm not vacuous. I'm not delusional. I know enough about Maul and the rest of these characters to know that even though Maul may be powerful and the Sith Lord and guys matching and everything, it's nothing against someone who can extend across the universe and the multiverse, or someone who can rewrite reality. So just like Mewtwo, he's the other casualty, but in terms of being a casualty, he's the first real casualty. Like, if you was to take out anybody on my team first, Maul will probably be the first one to be taken out. And that's okay. And I know some of y'all are probably thinking, well, Cal, it looks like your team is not always going to come on top. I'm not looking for my whole team to walk away. I was trying to find a team that will give Warren's team hella trouble, or at least where most of his team will be taken out. Now, another reason I say that is because normally when you're in a battle, in the team group, right? The most common thought out plan, whether you're an enemy, a hero, a villain, or whatever the case may be, is to take out the toughest, strongest, most powerful, or most dangerous person first, right? But let's look at who we're facing and the type of people we have on our teams. That's most likely not going to happen. Some of these people aren't going to have the clearest time working together because of their egos or whatever. They may say, yeah, but it's going to be a thing where egos say yeah, but when it comes to reality, I don't listen to you. You give me no orders. Or they see who's on the team and the plan switches up. Like, egotistically, because of who they are, both of them being Sith Lords or rivals or whatever, as soon as they get on the field, Maul and Vader are probably going to go right after each other. Same thing for Mewtwo and Pikachu, right? Now, Batman's probably going to be the only one with the plan to target the biggest threat first. And the biggest threat on the team to him will probably be Trigon. He won't be worried about Franklin for the most part because in his mind, he's probably gonna be thinking Franklin's just a kid. How much of a threat could he be? Or he'll probably want to try to talk to him and persuade him to his other side, or keep him from safety, from getting really hurt from the casualties of the other parts of the battle taking place, or Franklin will be hiding somewhere in like a veil of the dimensional weather. So the first real threat that he's going to want to face off against is Trigon. But we all know, like I said, what can you really do against someone who's a demonic lord and whose magic that you really don't have no casualties for? So Batman's gonna be taken out, and then if it's not him trying to face off against Trigon, it's gonna be him facing off against Thanos. Now, in my mind, if you make Thanos and Franklin the central focus point of my team, they're the two main ones to have the plans and everything in their workings. This is where my team really comes on top because of the fact that they're your two strongest assets. Whether or not you go with the whole idea that Vader and Pikachu might go off to battle their opponents from their particular universes, more than likely Batman will lead Warren's team. They will come to a concise conclusion that Batman's the best fit leader. And more than likely, he will have Scarlet Witch and the Phoenix in the background waiting. And even if he didn't tell them to wait, usually when it's in the comics, they're usually seen as the last call, the last resort, the last playing card. So they'll probably be off hiding somewhere. Like Wanda would use her reality manipulation to make it seem like she's not there, or Phoenix will be hiding in the veils of reality or in the cosmos, like she usually is doing. And I can see where Franklin is doing just the same thing. He's hiding, but at the same time, he's helping maintain the battlefield by helping augment and control people's powers and what he does on the field, or control the battlefield in itself. Thanos, Thanos isn't a hider. He's gonna be right there enforcing everything. And Trigon, like I said, Trigon, he can appear outside of the multiverse, outside of the planet. He can seem like he's there for real, or not. He's not there, and that would just be it right there. Like I said, your first executioner is going to be Darth Maul and Mewtwo. Mewtwo is going to be seen as a battlefield controller, and with Maul as executioner, like I said, your three solo opponents are already going to be taken down separately. Those standalone battles will be easier to defeat. And then you will just have to worry about the two biggest threats on the team. So for maximum efficacy, if you were to keep Franklin safe and let him hide and do his thing, rewriting the rules of the field, or rewriting the rules of the battle, or rewriting how each character reacts or is affected by everything, keep him safe, have Mewtwo control the battlefield by locking people down, taking them out psychically, or neutralizing their powers, in order for Darth Maul to come in and take out the other weaker members swiftly. Then you can have Thanos basically clearing the board out cosmically, while Franklin either neutralizes Phoenix and Scarlet Witch one on one, or he puts them into another universe or another omniverse or whatever the case may be. And then again, you have the board being cleaned up and wiped out by Thanos, and then take into account that you really can't even do nothing about Trigon because of the fact that you can have Trigon just doing what he usually does. Then I think my team is pretty effective. And like I said, the type of ways I said that they could beat each other are just some of the ways. We're not even mentioning that Trigon has brood of demons following him or whatever, or he can possess Warren's team or control them or corrupt them and make them fight each other or make them fight for us or whatever the case may be. We're not thinking about any of that. We're not even considering all that. But those are things to think about because, like I said, we're using all the powers. There's no stalemate powers locked being down, all the continuities exist and everything. But that's just theories. That's just me thinking. That's just me thinking about what could happen based off what I know about these characters. Now, according to how it will be put into the prompt or how Chat GPT or whatever chat they used will have the fight come out and how it will analyze the characters going up against each other. I do not know. But like I said, that is the team that I have picked to go against Warren's Mega Battle, Super Smash Bros. Marvel DC Universe, Star Wars fighting team for today. So, like I said, y'all tag Warren, y'all tag Chris within the comments. Mention them, tag them, add them to this video. Let me know what y'all think in the chat. Whose team do you think will win? Whose team do you think will fail? Who do you think are the casualties? Who you think are not? Who you think is coming on top? And let me know how you think guys did, especially when it comes to the Pokemon character for my Super Smash Bros. Pick and for the Star Wars characters they use for the Star Wars pick, since those are the characters I know the least about. But like I said, you tag them. This is fun. I will be doing other teams like this if there's like a challenging team that they do again because they said they were going to do it again coming up in the new year. So I'm looking forward to that. And this is fun. But y'all tag them. Make sure you let them know this is what I was doing. It's nothing against them. I'm not trying to call them out in a bad way. This is just for fun and entertainment. But anyway it goes, whether I lose or not, it was something fun to do, something interesting, and this is the team I'm going to choose. So like I said, these are characters I will not be able to use again, even in my own original concept drafts. But yeah, you guys, that's all I got for you today. Y'all know what it is. I'm going to catch you guys later. Deuces.